tonight. Reaction after U.S. President-elect Donald Trump threatens tariffs on all products entering from Canada and Mexico. Also, the Sask party blocks the NDP's emergency motion to suspend the provincial gas tax. Plus, we catch up with the first ever Miss Rodeo at Agribition after the year of her reign.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, November 26th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for watching. His inauguration is still nearly 2 months away, but Donald Trump is already raising international tension. The U.S. president-elect is threatening stiff tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico. Kate McKenna has the political reaction.
Overnight, everything changed.
I had a good call with Donald Trump last night again. We obviously talked about laying out the facts, talking about how the intense and effective connections between our two countries flow back and forth.
President-elect Donald Trump has thrown his first curveball at Canada since his win earlier this month. Yesterday, he posted online saying, "On January 20th, as one of my many first executive orders, I will sign all necessary documents to charge Mexico and Canada a 25% tariff on all products coming into the United States and its ridiculous open borders," saying tariffs would stay in place until both countries crack down on immigrants and toxic drugs illegally crossing the border. More than 3/4 of Canada's exports are sent to the U.S. Trump's proposal could be catastrophic for jobs.
We cannot start a war, and we have to do everything we can to not have these tariffs.
It's like a family member stabbing you right in the heart.
This will be devastating to workers on both sides of the border.
Canada's public safety and finance ministers say they're working on a plan which will include boosting border security.
We have, in recent days, worked with the RCMP and Border Services about continuing to support them in terms of acquiring new technologies, drones, helicopters, additional human resources.
And could include retaliatory tariffs.
Our government will always defend the national interest.
I only care about Canada.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says Trump's threat is unjustified, but called on Trudeau to tighten border security and stop the illegal importation of fentanyl.
We trade more with the U.S. than we do with the rest of the world combined. I will do what is necessary to preserve and protect that relationship above all others.
Canadian officials also say that if Trump does move forward with these tariffs, he risks hurting Americans in addition to Canadians. The Prime Minister and the Premiers are set to meet tomorrow to discuss what comes next. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
Here in Saskatchewan, farmers at Agribition in Regina took in day one of the Grain Expo. As Laura Sharpaletti reports, farmers say they're worried and that Trump's threat alone is destabilizing enough.
This is something that's going to keep me up at night.
Caitlin Kitsan's family farm operation near Yorkton includes grain and cattle. She and the other farmers I spoke with hope the tariff threat is just a Trump negotiating tactic, but they're worried it's not a bluff.
I don't know right now, and it's the uncertainty, right? Trump says a lot of things, and it's, what is going to happen. I think this is a sign for our, provincial and federal leaders. We've got some time, so let's be proactive. Let's start those conversations.
What other countries do for our exports or accepting our exports is something we always have to adapt to. And more than likely, the price of products are going to go down.
Saskatchewan's top exports to the United States are crude oil, potash, and canola oil. That's according to the province's Trade and Export Partnership. Brett Spray farms cattle, cereal, and oilseed crops in the Northeast.
Where he goes from there is, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty in the markets that whether to contract or ship cattle. It's, going to be a stressful couple of weeks for sure.
Saskatchewan Trade and Export Partnership says a 25% tariff on top exports will push prices up for American consumers. The province sends about half its exports to the U.S., below the national average of 77%. So Trump's tariff would have negative effects on both countries.
You hope it's kind of rhetoric and that he's just angling for something else that maybe he, changes his mind and doesn't go through with it, but we'll have to wait and find out.
Meanwhile, Premier Moe and opposition leader Carla Beck say a 25% tariff would be a hardship. The NDP say it would introduce chaos at a time when industry needs the opposite.
Because if this 25% tariff does come into effect, again, there'll be no end of devastation when it comes to not only our economy here.
Where does this go from here from Saskatchewan's perspective? We'll be working alongside our federal government in outreach that they have with the incoming Trump administration.
In the meantime, Saskatchewan farmers will play the waiting game as the president-elect's inauguration on January 20th draws near. Laura Sharpletti, CBC News, Regina.
The first question period of the fall sitting was an eventful one. The opposition NDP put forward an emergency motion to suspend the provincial fuel tax. Opposition leader Carla Beck campaigned on pausing the tax for 6 months, trying to save drivers 15 cents per litre. Alberta, Manitoba and Ontario have taken a similar approach. The NDP called for the province to suspend the tax on gasoline and diesel.
The time to act is now to offer people some relief. When I bring a motion to cut the gas tax later today, will the Sask Party government finally get on board and save families some money as they head into a holiday season?
Hear, hear. And as far as his question on the gas tax, no, absolutely, we will not be supporting that, Mr. Speaker. It's temporary. Our changes are going to be permanent. They're going to continue to help people across the province.
Ryder says the government's removal of the carbon tax on home heating and other measures promised in the throne speech are more prudent. He says a temporary cut is not financially responsible. NDP MLA Jared Clark says the Premier owes his children an apology. During the fall election, Scott Moe said his government's first priority would be to introduce a change room policy. It would require school children to change in rooms based on their assigned sex at birth. Moe was responding to an online news article about 2 trans children in a girls' changing room. Clark has revealed they were his daughters, and he had strong words for the Premier.
But about 20 hours after the story of 2 trans kids was posted online, the Premier had pivoted, and this was now his #1 priority: elementary school change rooms. The Premier put a target on the backs of my 2 12-year-old kids. He held a press conference to stoke fear and outrage about 2 kids at an elementary school, while my children's picture was circulating on social media identifying them, while unimaginable hate was raging down on my family. Mr. Speaker, what do you think would be going through a 12-year-old's mind when they hear the Premier of their province targeting them? What if this was any child, any other child of any other MLA in this chamber? Would this be acceptable? And yet the Premier didn't even hesitate. This is the Premier's legacy.
A government statement says the Minister of Education and the Premier commented on the matter in response to questions from the media. It says they did not identify students and that the Premier and his campaign consistently stated that, quote, the identity of individual minors should never be part of any political debate. Well, the cold weather is not stopping a Saskatoon man from raising awareness. He's been smudging outside for the last 96 hours. David Finday says he wants to help those facing homelessness. He's set up an encampment on 20th Street and has held smudges there for the last 4 days. The city gave him until Tuesday night as a deadline to take down the camp. Finday says people need help and a place to stay warm 24/7.
So no more people are lost on the street. No more people lose limbs. No more people go to hospitals of chronic illnesses, of pneumonia, people dying of pneumonia out there like it's... Last year, within a month, I probably lost 6 friends. One of them came and passed away on my floor. And that's what's making me do this. They're humans, everybody bleeds red. I don't understand how people can keep their money in their pockets when people are dying out on the streets. All these big corporations, I'd like them to step forward and do something.
The city says they're worried about safety risks and that the encampment must come down. Fine Day plans to seek another permit. A prosecutor is dropping drug trafficking charges against brothers in Saskatoon, one of them a dentist, because of a botched search by police. Jason and Jay Lee had been charged with trafficking cocaine and meth along with Jessica Tran in October of 2021. Jason Lee worked out of a dental practice in River Landing. The Crown has stayed all charges against all three accused. The Crown says Saskatoon police did not follow strip search requirements set by the Supreme Court. Well, how quickly we went from balmy and warmer than seasonal to frigid and much colder than seasonal. The frost is pretty if you look at it from inside a warm space. So what is to come in the forecast? Riley Lachuk will have your answer after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. You've probably noticed that buying beef will cost you significantly more these days, or maybe you've just stopped looking. Prices have hit historic highs, rising at a much faster rate than pork or chicken. Kyle Bax looks at what is driving up the cost.
I've been working here quite a while, and it's probably the all-time high I've ever seen them.
The latest numbers show a kilogram of ground beef was selling for about $13 on average in September, compared to about $11.50 1 year earlier and about $9 5 years ago. Beef strip loin cuts climbed past $32 after selling for about $20 last December. So far, the sticker shock at grocery stores isn't scaring away customers.
Globally, we've got a growing population, a growing middle class, and they want more protein. And it's not just beef, it's pork and poultry as well, and wanting to have more of that product.
The record prices are not only on store shelves, but on farms too. Cattle prices are between 45% and 65% higher this year compared to the average since 2019.
We definitely have a strong price situation that producers are facing right now.
The supply of beef in the country is dwindling as many ranchers scale back their operations. They have faced rising expenses of their own in recent years, including for feed because of drought conditions. For Jackson, he's cut his margins to try and keep prices in check.
Our profit at the end of the day is less. I don't want to gouge customers. We're just doing our best.
He hopes prices hold steady, especially during the busy holiday season. Kyle Bax, CBC News, Calgary.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. Year-end clearance is on now.
A live look now out at the city of Regina, where it is currently minus 14 degrees and lightly snowing again. Riley Lachuk now with your forecast.
Well, Sam, certainly a bitter cold morning for many parts of southern and central Saskatchewan through the morning. Here's a look at some of our morning temperatures. Wynyard minus 27, Saskatoon minus 26 this morning. Couple of minus 26 mornings for Saskatoon. You have to go back to March to find temperatures as cold as this. So a bit of a reality check, and yes, below seasonal even for overnight lows as we head into the end of November here. Regina getting down to minus 22 this morning, but you can see where we have had a little bit of cloud cover today. Temperatures a little warmer in that southwestern corner of the province. Advancing into the afternoon, really the temperatures didn't move very much, not even getting out of the minus 20s for Saskatoon today. And Wynyard, Yorkton minus 18. And we have seen some warmer temps in extreme southern Saskatchewan. This is because we've seen some cloud cover and a little bit of instability rolling through. So much of central northern parts of the province under a mix of sun and clouds today. But yes, as forecast, this a little bit of light snow moving through southern parts of the province as we've gotten through the afternoon hours today. Maybe picking up a couple of centimeters here and there, but a general dusting as we've gotten throughout the afternoon. That does move out as we get through the overnight period. Tonight, we start tomorrow under a mix of sun and clouds once again. This particular forecast model indicating that we could see a little bit more instability. I've put a slim chance of flurries in the forecast for Saskatoon and for central parts of the province through the early morning hours. I think that is a slim chance that we could see, but certainly the possibility we could see a little dusting as we get through the morning hours tomorrow. Otherwise, we clear out and we get a much brighter day for the most part as we get through the afternoon hours tomorrow, and a little bit more instability kind of tracking along the international border as we get into the early part of Thursday. High pressure clears us out, and that's really going to allow our temperatures to dive as we get into the next several days here. So as you can see, this big dip in the jet stream just continues to sink as we get through Wednesday into Thursday, and you see some of these purples and blues really coming into the province. This is some of those temperatures that we're looking at in terms of minus 25 and lower, even some minus 30s for parts of central Saskatchewan as we get later into the work week, into that Friday, early Saturday morning time frame. So temperatures remaining below seasonal, and we're looking at temperatures staying that way for an extended period of time. Progressing out our forecast temperatures into the overnight period Wednesday into Thursday, you can start to see some of those temperatures really starting to sink into the western side of the province. Kindersley, North Battleford, minus 25, minus 26 into early Thursday morning, and temperatures, the overnight lows continue to sink as we get into early Friday morning. So minus 13 for Regina tomorrow, overnight Thursday into Friday, getting down to minus 31. Not even getting out of the minus 20s for Friday for Regina, minus 19 for Saturday, and we keep a mix of sun and clouds as we head through the weekend. And temperatures staying cold for Saskatoon as well, minus 33 overnight into Friday morning, minus 23 for your Friday, Sam, in Saskatoon. And we're looking at temperatures staying at minus 20 through the weekend.
All right, thanks, Riley. The Canadian Western Agribition will crown its next Miss Rodeo this week, and the first ever Miss Rodeo is wrapping up her reign. As a welder by trade, Ari Dick used the platform to promote trades among young girls. She told us about it on CBC Saskatchewan's noon radio program, Blue Sky.
It means a great deal to me. I've been able to change the lives of just young kids in general.
What are some of the things that those kids say to you?
They ask me, can I touch your crown? That's a big one I get from a lot of toddlers and younger kids. But some of them too, what's your horse's name? Or how do you get into rodeo? How did you get into welding? And seeing kids that are in grade 7 and 8 asking me these questions about how I got into welding, it's very nice to see because these kids are so young still. But the fact that we can influence them that young and show them that there is this whole other world out there is greatly important.
What made you want to get into welding?
It all started in grade 9 when everybody had to try out every single PAA rotation and every single PAA class as you enter high school. And just from there, the welding instructor told me, hey, you're really good at this. Take it in grade 10. So I agreed and I took it in grade 10. Turns out I got that welding bug, it bit me, and now I made a career out of it because I loved it and I didn't see myself doing anything else.
What was it that you really liked about it?
The technique, how precise you have to be, really drew me to it. I'm a very precise person. I like things to be perfect, but I knew one thing for sure is that university or college and getting a degree and sitting in a classroom all day just wasn't for me. I decided to follow my own heart. People are shocked, especially people from older generations. They are very shocked when they find out that I'm a welder and I'm small because I am quite tiny. I'm only about like 5'3", 5'4", I think, so I'm really small. But I like that it surprises people because it catches them off guard, and then they're just flooded with questions for me, which I love answering questions. It's part of being a rodeo queen as well. You get to ask questions all the time, but it's nice because it's a good conversation starter as well when people find out what I do for a living. I've always preached throughout the past year that you should be allowed to do whatever you want to do. And you're going to be more happier doing what you love to do. And that's just what I tell people every day is follow your heart. It's the best option.
Okay, this is just too cute. The recent birth of a rare poodoo deer has created quite a stir in the biopark in Argentina. This tiny fawn weighs just 1.2 kilos. As adults, they don't grow more than half a meter in height and only weigh about 12 kilos. Scientists hope better research on the elusive creatures will help save them from extinction in the wild. Me too. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. Municipal elections across the province brought in a lot of brand new councillors, but none as fresh-faced as Victor Santos Cardoza. The 20-year-old is the youngest councillor ever elected in the town of Moosomin, and his journey to civil politics is a remarkable one. The Santos Cardoza family came to Canada from Honduras when Victor was just 6 years old and settled in Moosomin. They were nearly deported in 2017, but the town rallied around them and they were allowed to stay. Victor and his family became Canadian citizens last year, and he decided that serving on town council would be a good way for him to give back to his community.
You know, I mainly aspire to be selfless and giving as our community here in town. You know, this town, like I mentioned, commits to giving back to everyone, even if it's a stranger like we were many years ago. So no, to me, it's just I like to jump on any opportunity that there is to get more involved and expand my experiences, so I, maybe more competent for this role.
Victor is also a carpenter in training. He says he's looking forward to a long career in municipal politics, and he could even see himself ending up in provincial politics in the future.
We're looking at your overnight forecast now, and we are looking at some cold temperatures, especially through central parts of the province as we get through the night tonight. So having a look at -24 North Battleford overnight, -22 in Saskatoon, not as cold as it was the past couple of nights, but certainly another plug-in-your-car night for much of us across southern Saskatchewan. -18, a few flurries ending through the evening tonight in Regina, Assiniboia at -16 overnight. Looking into northern parts of the province, looking at -15 in Buffalo Narrows. A few flurries as we head into the day on Wednesday for the most northern parts of the province, although we could see some of this along the eastern side of the province as we get through the afternoon hours. Very scattered, very isolated in nature, but certainly that chance of a flurry tomorrow. Pelican Narrows at -12 by the afternoon. In southern sections, a mix of sun and clouds. A cloudier start to the day, but we'll see some clearing as we get through the afternoon hours. And yes, Saskatoon and east, we have that chance of a flurry as we get through the afternoon hours. Outlook getting to -14 tomorrow afternoon.
All right, thanks, Riley. Riley Lachuk filling in for Ethan Williams, who's away this week. That is it for us tonight. For more news anytime, including the latest on those Trump tariff threats, you can head to cbc.ca/Sask, or you can subscribe to CBC Saskatchewan's YouTube channel. You can also find more on the CBC News app on your smartphone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.